Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Hi everyone. This is Tiago JDF, and today I'll be streaming how to make a save system in Godot. So we'll start with an empty scene, and first of all, let's see. I'm just checking that everything is working. Why is this not showing? Why is OBS not showing my screen? Sorry about this. Is this working? Yes. Why is the PC not showing the proper screen? Okay, it's not working yet. And now, okay, good. So, hi everyone. Sorry for the delay. We'll now start streaming. Today I'll be making a save system in Godot, and this time around I'm gonna make it from the top down. So we will go from creating first a scene where you can select your saves and generate different saves, and from there going to an actual game scene with the current slot and loading that data. So let's start right away. I'm going to make several scenes. The first scene will be the load game scene. So I'm going to put a control node. It will take full screen. And we can, the way I'm going to make this is that I'm going to add a label just to say you could add different things. I also like to add a margin node here, just to make things not touch the corners of the screen. Oops, sorry. 32 everywhere. We put this full screen. Inside, I'm gonna put a VBox container because I want to put I want to make a screen that goes like this. You have a title, you have a new game button, and you have a component that shows you the different slots. And I hope this can work as a base if you want to make your own save slot system, to either put it in the menu or create the screen for yourself, something like that. So now I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna add a label, which is just going to say load game. We're gonna justify the whole thing center, and I'm gonna edit a theme of overrides, not overrides, sorry, a theme of header large. I want to have it to look in the middle. I'm gonna add a button for the new game. Just says new game, and I'm gonna add an horizontal separator And basically after this separator, we'll be adding all of our our container for the saves. And basically for that, I'm also going to use another VBox container, which is going to take up, going to expand to take up all the space. I'm going to call this the save or the load game container. Save game container, save game, load game container, load game container. And this will be the scene that will be where we'll be showing all of our nodes. So I'm going to edit an unique name because I'm going to access it in code, saying where I want to add the nodes. This button, I'm also going to call it new game button, and I'm also going to edit the unique name so I can access it in the code. And basically, I think this is a good setup to start making our scene. You could probably add some spacing here or other things to make it look nicer, but for now we'll do it like this. I'm gonna save this scene, and I'm gonna create a new folder which I'm gonna call scenes. Yeah, since this is a small project, I'll be separating on types of file, but usually I prefer to go in a more functional way, saying this will be the gameplay, this will be the menus and stuff like that, but here I'm just gonna call it scenes. And since this is, oh wait, I don't want to call it like this, I'm going to call this load game, and now I'm going to save the scene as load game scene. Okay. Now that we have a scene, we can add a script to it, and just, I'm going to name this scene called load game screen. So actually, I'm going to change the name here, load game screen. And I'm also going to change the name of the file itself. Load game screen. So this will be our load game screen, and in it, like I said, we want to have access to the button. And how do I do this? I grab the button that I gave a unique identifier, I drag and drop it where it is. This would give us just a reference. But if at the same time you hold the command key, it directly gives you a variable with everything you need. And basically we're going to add a signal here on pressed. We're going to connect to some function. You can either use here connecting directly the signal to a callback, but I prefer to do it on code since it's easier to then change it for afterwards. So here I'm going to do a new game button dot pressed dot connect on, is this not on new game button pressed and now we'll need to define this function. What I want to do when I click this button is create a new save slot file. And just so you have an idea of how I'm going to implement this, I'm going to have one file, one resource that will be the save slots that will have a list of all the slots that we have. And I'm going to save that into a file. And basically when I get into the scene, I load that file and I use that to populate the different save slots. And once I click on the save file that I want to load, or when I'm starting a new game, what I do is that I grab this slot, I load it, and then I load the corresponding file for all of the game data that is associated. So as you see here, I'm already saying that we'll have different kinds of data structures and stuff like that. So I'm going to create a new folder here for data, where I'm going to add all of these data structures. I also like to set the color to yellow for data. You can set it any color you want or not set it at all. I find it easier to find when I'm looking here where my things are. And now create new script, and I'm going to use this to create the resource of a save slot. I'm going to call this save data. So this will correspond to one particular game, save data. So I'm gonna add here class name save data, an extensor resource, and for now what I'm gonna add here is information that I want to store. I'm gonna add a variable time, which will be an integer, and let's start with just that. Here in theory you could add like var name, you could add a name that the user could set to their own files, or that you could set it automatically yourself when the user saves, corresponding to where he is in the game. You could add other kinds of informations that would make it easier for the user to figure out what save is loading. For example, for a game I'm making, I'm actually putting a small picture of the class of hero that you pick. So this way you can easily tell if you're loading a game for a cleric or a scholar or a different kind of character type, character class. So now what I want to do on new game pressed is that I'm gonna var new game of type save data will be equal to save data.new. We're gonna create a new save game. Let me just say here. We can say that the new game time is equal to os.get get Unix. No, sorry, not the OS. I want to use the time, and I want to get the Unix time here. Get Unix time from system. And since this is a float, I want to cast it to int because I want to store just an integer. Why am I saving this time? As you'll see, I'm gonna show it later when I create a save. I would like to show the time that it takes. This is an easier way to know what I want. So I'm gonna save the time here, and basically I want to add this to a variable that it's going to show later. So I'm gonna create a new data structure. This was a save data. I'm gonna create a new resource here, which I'm gonna call. I'm gonna duplicate this and call this save data. Save data what? Save data system. Save data handler. That will be the name. Save handler data. I'm gonna call this like this. Save handler data, and it's just going to control a variable saves that's an array of save data. Save handler data. And basically on my screen what I want to do here is that I want to now I'm just going to create a game save. Let me think how we're going to do this. First we'll start in this screen, and then I'm going to put all of this in its own system apart, so it's easier to reuse. So for now I'm going to say here that var save handler data equal to save handler data.new. This will be the array. Why am I using resources here? It's something that I want to discuss now. I'm using resources here because the way we're going to save all the content is using the save resource and the resource saver and the resource loader. If you want to do something similar for JSON, you could do something similar for JSON. Personally, I've been using a resource saver and loader in my projects because I'm not planning on adding any form of multiplayer. But if at some point I will make multiplayer games, at that point I'll probably try to implement JSON loaders, use JSON instead of just the resources, because I think it would be easier to process that data or to outside of Godot if it's JSON instead of the resources. So here we're going to create new. Ideally, instead of doing this later, we'll be loading it, but for now I'm just going to create a new one. And what I want to do when a new game is created on a new game, I want to say that the how did I call the variable? Saves, yes. So I'm gonna say that saves dot append the new game. Sorry, this will be. So this way, we should already be getting new saves. Every time I click on new game, it should create a new save. And now we want to show that in some way. So for now, I'm just going to print this to the console. Actually, I'm not sure if you can see my screen. I'm going to increase it, please. Is this any better? I'll have to check this afterwards if we can see it easily. Is it possible to see here? Let me see. What does this look like? Not bad. I'm going to increase it once more. Here, this way I think you can read what I'm coding better. Okay, this way is good. I'm gonna okay, I'll need to change that in my OBS settings. Sorry, this is telling me that my bitrate is too high. Well, I'll do this afterwards. Or no, so here we're just going to print the save handler dot saves, and when I'm doing this kind of thing, something I like to do is add here function toString, and I like to return save data as, and then the data that I want to write. So for now, I'm just printing the. I will just print. Let me write here the variable so you can easily see what I'm printing. So I'll be printing the RID, the resource ID, and I'll be printing the time. This way, I can see that I have different save slots when I'm debugging. I can easily tell that they're different. So let's see if this already runs. So there's a problem here. Incomplete format. Yes, so here I had a typo. If you don't know this type of string format, basically %s says that I'm just printing a string. I could use D for time because it's a. Oh, okay. So see, here we're adding different saves already, but it's not get our RID that I want. Get instance ID. This is what I wanted. Sorry. Yes, so this way you can tell that I have different saves that were generated when I click new game. Now I'm just going to create a new scene. Let's go back here. Let's just create a for each save slot I'm going to use, for example, a panel container, and make it, and I'm going to add on it a label that says, for example, save slot. I'm gonna add on it another label. Let's say that's the time label, which will have here the time. And I'm also going to add a button, which will be the load game button. Load button. And right now you can't see anything, so let's do, and this is just going to say load. Right now you can't see anything, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a H box. I'm going to put them horizontally. So this will put the load button, the time label, and the label here. I'll put the load button at the end. And I'm gonna probably put these two in a vertical label, in a vertical box. The box, I'll put both labels in the vertical box so I can see them. Not like this, like this. Okay, and I'm gonna make this one stretch. Not you, sorry. This one's gonna stretch horizontally. Voila. This way we have the button, and I'm gonna set the load button to have a minimum width. So where do I have that? Layout, custom minimum X, let's say 320. Makes a big load button. Yes, this looks about good. It sounds about right. Here the label, I'm going to make it slightly bigger, so I'm going to use in the themes header medium, and here the time can be in small, and I could have added here some margins. I might do that at some other point. And this, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna add here a margin container just to make this a little bit nicer. In here, in here. Each box container here, panel container. Okay, I'm gonna put it outside here. Put this one inside this one. And tell here that we're gonna have team overrides, constants, and I'm gonna put 16. No, I don't like this. I'm gonna put the load button outside of it, so I'm gonna move this. So I'm gonna move this out. This one, I'm gonna say it stretches. Yeah, that looks better. And here instead of save slot, if for example you had added some form of information like a slot name or anything, you would replace this with that value. But I'm just going to set the time for now. I'm going to save this panel container as a save slot, and I'm gonna make this save branches scene. I'm gonna here a new folder components to separate them from the scenes, and I'm gonna say that this scene here as a script component save slot. Okay, we're gonna call it class name save slot, and I'm gonna say that it has a variable save data of type save data, and we're gonna send on ready, or actually let's create function update label, update labels, or update, just update, and you put all the logic here for updating. I'm just gonna set the time label, But if you had more information, this is where you'd set it. And I'm gonna set that the time label dot text is equal to save data dot time, and on top of that, what I want to do is time date time from Unix time, and I'm gonna pass in our save data time, but I don't want the get time dict, I want the string. Yes. What does it say? It says it takes 2 date time dict. No, get time. No, this is not what I want. Where was I? I want get date time string from Unix time. This is what I want. Yes. So now what's going to happen is that when I load here, and I'm just going to add here function ready. I'm going to call it date, and this sounds about right. So now what I'm going to say here in the game, back in here on ready, what I'm going to do is that for save data, in save handler data, I'm going to instantiate a load slot. I'm going to go to my components, save slot, instantiate. I'm going to call this var save slot instance of the time save slot equal to save slot instantiate. I'm going to say that its save data is equal to our current save data, and I already added the variable, so load game container dot add child save slot instance. So what this is going to do is that when I first get in the scene, I'm going to load, if I had already loaded the data here, I would be showing that data. For now it will not work, so we're just going to put this in another function, which I'm going to call function update load game container, and for now this is just to debug to see if this is working. I'm going to call it every time I add a new button. Oops. Oh yes, so this is giving me an error because I probably still have, yes, this slot here, which has no data assigned to it, so I'm just going to remove it. And now when we run, there should be no data, so the scene should load as previously. Saves. Since this should be empty, now it should work. So yeah. Okay, so this is not working correctly because I'm calling the whole thing, so it's putting the same save twice. You can see that these two are different. So we actually would want to just update one when we, instead of doing this, either we would completely clear everything inside it or we would then add one at a time. But since this code is not supposed to ever run in production, we're not supposed to be uploading the game container several times, I'm just going to keep it as is for now, because we're only supposed to see this happen once. And when we create new game, this logic is not supposed to happen like this. It's supposed to send me to the other game screen. Let me just think now. We want to have, maybe now I'm going to start creating the save system where I'll keep this data. So this I'll have a save handler that actually keeps this data and all of that. And I like to create a new folder here for this kind of systems that I usually are autoloads that I call systems. I like to put them in red. And now I'm going to create a new one, create new script. Extends from node, yes. And I'm going to call this the save handler. And here I'm going to go to load data. This will be here. For now, I'm going to project settings, add this as an autoload. We go to globals, system, save handler, open, add, and it's enabled. So now this is called save handler. So here, instead of calling this, I'm going to call save handler dot save handler data dot saves. Let me just see the save handler data and the save handler as just the saves. Okay. So instead of doing, I can probably just add a function here to create new game that does this logic. So that's what I'm going to do. This whole thing is going to go here in the save handler function. New game. It creates a new game. That's a time to it, yes. And here I can just remove this. This will be the new game. Here, instead of doing this, I just do save handler.new game. And here, it's going to be save handler data dot saves. So this is the basic logic for now. Let's start adding the saving logic. So here, function load or create and a function save. We'll have a function that either loads or creates data for the first time. So this logic here, oh, sorry, I've duplicated this line and I'm gonna move it here. It's no longer a var because it's already defined up there. And I'm just gonna set it like this. So what we're gonna do here is create a path for saving all this data. So save handler data path will be a string with the type user. You can just call this saves.res. So this is the path where we'll be saving this resource. Look that I put the extension tres so that I can actually look at what's inside the save file. And it must be inside the user folder. So when we load or create, what we do is if file file access dot exists, file exists, our save handler date path. If a file exists like this, what we want to do is load the file. So we want to say that, oh, here I want to remove this, sorry. Save handler equal to resource loader dot load this path. Else we want to create a new one. And now we want to also be able to save, and saving is just resource saver dot save and the path. No, sorry. Here we put the data and the path. So now this will create as a save file when we save. Let's try this, see if it works. So we're gonna do here on our screen that when we create a new game, we're also gonna save the save handler dot save. Notice that this will be creating our save slots, our save data, but those are not complete yet because now we need to add here a different thing. We need to add a path here, and we need to make that also these ones can be saved. So I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna add here the way I like to do it is create a prefix path, which can be, for example, user save save like this, and the suffix, that's just the .tres. And I'm going to create here a function, get path. That's going to return a string. Basically, it returns our prefix plus, I'll be using the instance ID, but you can use different things. You can allow for the user, if the user could create a save name, you could add that, or you could use a get save path. And basically here the way I like to do is like this. I have a prefix, a suffix, and the instance ID. So this should be enough to get a save path, but if you want, you can make this different. For example, in a previous game, I like to have like a saves folder to keep this and stuff like that. So this is really up to your taste how you prefer to do it. So now that I get a save path here, and our save handler, what we can do, saves this, saves just the data that we have, but I also want to have a function, save slot, that saves a specific slot, or save, yes, I'm gonna call this void save slot, and basically here we'll be passing a save data of the type save data. And what we're gonna do is that we're gonna just do a resource save of our save data dot get we didn't create a get save path. Save data. Okay, we didn't have any. Oh, save, yes, that's why it wasn't saved, so that's why it didn't recognize. Get save data path and save data.